Okay.
Okay, so so we're gonna be quibbling about Christmas.
Yeah.
Um,
Fucking
there's,
Christmas,
I
man.
know,
What a,
there's a lot to say here. This could end up as a really long one.
yeah.
I I want to start with something that's just been at the top of my mind for quite a while. It's a little bit of a low hanging fruit thing. A lot of people will complain about the music, that you have to hear around Christmas, but I'm going to go real specific and say that the 12 Days of Christmas is one of the worst and most obnoxious creations in all of human history. I hate hearing it. And moreover, anytime I hear it play on the radio, all I can think of is how many takes it probably took the musicians and recording artists to do the song to the extent of perfection that was required for the recording. And I
Wow.
can just imagine, like, can you just imagine how irritated like Frank Sinatra or whoever must have been having to go through like the 30th take of 12 Days of Christmas talking about partridges in a pear tree? I can only think about that. And so it grates on me every time I hear that song. So that's like
It's
my number one quibble for Christmas.
it's pretty bad. You're not wrong. And it's oh God, it is grating, isn't it? Because it's just now that you said it, it's in my head, and
Yeah.
I don't like you for that because now it's in my head, and I feel like that will be in my head for the rest of the day. So let's just do ourselves a favor and not sing it or say any of the words about it, and maybe try to flip our brains and think about the other association I have with that song is Home Alone 2, where
Okay.
the old lady who freaked me out when I was a kid, the one with
Oh
the
yeah.
birds all around her, I think she's meant to be creepy.
Yeah.
It's like the whole arc, isn't it? She's scary, and then she's not so bad towards the end. But they got the two turtle doves, and they share the turtle doves, and now we'll always be friends, or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know. I'm talking about Home Alone 2 in a way that makes it sound like I don't love it. I do. I love Home Alone. So
You love Home Alone 2?
yeah, sure, why not?
Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. You love that
Yeah,
movie?
sure, why not? I mean, I love
It's
obviously the.
inferior to the first one. I mean,
I didn't say it
sure.
was superior. You can love two things at once. I mean,
Sure, sure. It's just more that, I love watching Home Alone 1 every year. I
yeah,
just think the second one is it's just not as good. It's just simply not, it's not on the same level as the first one. And
you're saying this as a 38-year-old man, or are you saying this as a 9-year-old kid too?
okay, that's difficult. I can't speak for the 9-year-old kid in me. It's possible
You
that I liked
okay?
that movie.
You liked it when you were a kid. Come on, we
Yeah.
both loved. Yeah, it was
One
Home
thing
Alone
is
2.
clear about the second one is that the injuries that are sustained by the criminals in the second one are of a far greater magnitude than the first one.
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Doesn't he get like a brick? It's not just the iron to the face through the laundry chute.
he gets
It's
like
like
multiple bricks.
multiple bricks
Yeah,
to
he's
the
just
face.
throwing bricks out the
Yeah,
window.
yeah, yeah. Maybe that's how that song should go. One more brick. Anyway, yeah, that's a pretty good quibble. I think maybe if I had one, it's just, have you ever been to a party you didn't want to go to where you knew you were going to see a bunch of people that you kind of know, and you know you'll have to converse with them, and very likely what's going to happen is you're going to have the same conversation over and over.
Yeah.
So not only do I feel like Christmas is the time where that happens the most.
Mhm.
Oh, how you been? What you been doing? Oh, you still with it's
Yeah.
always the same. But I think that Christmas and the holidays themselves come with their own repeatable things that people maybe have to say or mention
Okay.
that are just equally kind of like, it's almost akin to like talking about the weather,
Uh-huh.
where it's like, oh, somebody always brings the fruit cake and
Yeah.
nobody likes the fruit cake. Have you ever had one that you like? It's just
Right.
kind of, I think that's probably my quibble is people go one level deeper. It's like
Mhm.
Inception, one level deeper to that. It's not only the expected conversation that you're going to have multiple times through the night, it's now the added layer of, they're going to be mentioning these things through and through.
Well, there are conversational cliches that we kind of just have to endure on a daily basis, through small talk.
Yes.
Like you said, okay, like, what have you been doing? Are you still with that company? Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's like during the holidays, there's an additional layer of cliches that everybody just kind of has to slog through.
The stores were so busy. I couldn't believe how many people there were at the airport. It's
Yeah.
just, it's another level of things I don't really want to talk about. And I know that makes me effectively an asshole, because it's like you just, and I guess it's not like I'm opening the wound as I'm speaking to them. Like I'm not, Lewis Black calling them idiots as they're saying the thing to me,
Yeah.
but I can't help deep down just feel like not only do I probably not really want to talk with you too much longer, but I don't want to hear this
Yeah.
again,
Well,
again.
I'll give you this is like an apology for you in like the philosophical sense of the word, which is that, when you're feeling that way, you're not passing judgment on the person themselves. You're passing judgment on the fact that the holiday imposes the need to have these sort of cliche conversations on you. Like, I think under different conditions, you might have a really interesting conversation with a lot of these people, but because it's Christmas, you can't, because there's an expectation that you have to stick to certain subjects matter. Like you're not gonna be able to go deep on any issue. You're not gonna be able to talk about, whatever might interest you, because it's the holiday. You kind of have to keep things a little bit narrow and on a certain type of theme.
You're in the Christmas sandbox is what you're saying. So
Yes.
therefore you must, even your conversation must be Christmas themed. And I guess maybe what it is that I hyperanalyze almost everything. I mean,
Okay.
what are we doing here? Like this is literally the point of the show, is to hyperanalyze things.
Yeah.
So I don't feel, it makes me uncomfortable when somebody brings something up to me as though it's kind of like a bit, where it's like, do you really think that you've thought about fruitcake more than I have? And do you think that whatever you're going to reveal to me about this conversation is going to like impress me because you don't like it, or you got a type 5 about eggnog, or like, what Christmas cookies should be, or whatever? Like, and I think that's what it is. It just feels a little insulting. It's like, I'd almost rather somebody take the contrarian point of view and be like,
Yeah.
I love them all in the holidays. Flying is the best during Christmas.
Right.
Like anything just like that would go, wow, yeah, tell me more about that.
So instead of Christmas, you want like conversational or Curmudgeonmas even.
Curmudgeonmas. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. It's likely not as severe as I'm portraying it to be, because I'm sure, as soon as I'm in the scenario, I'll be wearing a sweater of some kind, and I'll probably have a drink like an eggnog or something. It'll be, it's a way to connect. So
well,
maybe
there are traditions that are worth partaking in. I like some eggnog. I actually relish in, like, okay, it's the time of year where I'm gonna have eggnog. I enjoy it. That's great. I like seeing people wear sweaters. I just don't have any, which is why I don't.
you don't like wearing sweaters, but you like seeing people wearing sweaters.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable visual for me. So that's fine. But yeah, what you're saying is just that there's a difference between the traditions and the cliches that we just saw.
Extra cliches on top of it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious if there's any like food related thing that you have any quibbles on here, because I was kind of thinking about that in advance of this and trying to decide if there's anything. And I think maybe part of it for me is that I don't know that Christmas definitely doesn't have as strong of a food presence as Thanksgiving does. Like there isn't a map of exactly like what food course you're supposed to follow, like when you're doing Christmas. Like some people, they do a ham or something. I mean, there's going to be cookies, but there's no like prescription on like the type of cookies you're supposed to have. So that like uncertainty, I feel like is definitely, takes a point off of Christmas for me.
Yeah, for sure. It's as our father would say, is you get your mouth fixed for some particular thing.
Yeah.
And with Thanksgiving, that's very easy, because there's going to be a set protocol. Maybe there'll be some sort of surprises where it's like, ooh, I wasn't expecting Brussels sprouts tonight, but ooh, I had Brussels sprouts. But Christmas, you never know what's going to be on the board. And I guess because we all age and do this multiple times throughout the year, people maybe like to get cute about it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than a cute dinner party. And I don't mean like you can have a cute dinner party. Like that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like the mix up.
Mm-hmm.
Like this year, I thought it would be really, really nice if we did spam. And that's a horrible example because I like spam, but you know what I mean? It's like somebody just deciding off the cuff, like this year, we're not doing this because I thought it'd be so much nicer if we did this. It's, you know what it is? It's arriving to a function and there being a seating chart. It's like
Okay.
seating charts are for events and weddings. They're not for any sort of like personable thing where it's like you kind of want to just like sit where you're
Yeah.
going to sit. And if you're in a pair or a group, it's like, you're going to commandeer a certain area. But
Yeah.
it's like nothing's worse than showing up and realizing you're being told where you got to sit. And maybe somebody's just like trying to orchestrate or machine the
Mhm.
party too much. And I think that's along the lines of what you're talking about is
Mhm.
there's no set protocol. So you could almost have anything.
Yeah.
We're doing all desserts.
Yeah.
Or it's burgers 5 ways. That'd actually be kind of cool.
Yeah. Burgers 5 ways Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the 12 burgers of Christmas could even become a theme there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right though. The surprises are always there, and it's not always smart. People overstep their bounds and overestimate their skills on what to do. If I was going to Gordon Ramsay's house for Christmas, that would be an exciting thing because I know whatever he was going to do would be probably awesome, but
Right.
you never know whether or not you can trust,
Well, I think with somebody like Gordon, he's gonna paint within the lines until he really feels like he needs to go outside of them. Like he's
Sure.
more. I feel like he's more conventional. So you're gonna get something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, doing a Wellington, but instead of, because it's a Christmas Wellington, there's going to be some chestnuts in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, nice, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you something that really bothers me here in New York City, as far as quibbles are concerned. I've never had enough space in an apartment to have a tree, which is fine. I don't necessarily need one. But the times in which I thought maybe I would get a tree, there are places all over the city walking around where you'll find, a grocery store that just has trees. It's like every one of them kind of like has an independent company that comes in and reserves a part of the block for, all these weeks until Christmas.
Yeah.
And this is the first year where I've seriously considered having a tree. And you'll notice this is the only plant we have in the frame right here because we don't have a Christmas tree. And it's because I went the first day they arrived, I walked down the lane and I asked the guy, how much are those little trees, the little ones? Because that's all we can really fit in with with the thing. And he was like, $60. And I was like, not great, but fine. Like $60 to have a tree, one tree in 5 years. That's like, $12 a year, basically I'm paying, after not having a tree. So that's fine. I can afford that.
I mean, I would break it down based on the number of days you actually have the tree, but let's save that for now.
I'm just considering it over the years,
Okay.
It's like, it's either I could do, you know what I'm saying. Anyway,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, great. That's good to know. I'll come back. So I go back a couple of days later because, things get busy. You don't always know when you're going to do it. And I ask him, how much are the little trees? $90. It's like, wow, $90. It was 60 2 days ago. And he's like, yeah, $90. It's like, okay.
So it's basically like Christmas tree surge pricing.
Sir, I think as the days go on and as we get closer to Christmas, they realize the more panicked people get about either wanting one or where they're going to get it. And so they gouge the system.
Supply and demand, right? Yeah.
I shit you not. The other day I walked by a different one and I asked him how much the little tree was. And it's the little guy. It's like, I can't even show you. It's like 2.5, 3 feet tall, $145.
Wow.
For that tree.
And the big ones are probably less expensive because nobody can use them here.
No, I think they are more expensive because
really?
I think the only difference is that like whatever the breed of the tree is what it is, because some smell stronger and some are designed not to shed needles, I think. So that will determine the price. But yeah, $145. I couldn't believe it. That's a major quibble.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, do you regret not buying it the initial day?
Well, not exactly, because, I guess, I don't want to reveal that this isn't Christmas Day here in case you're releasing this on that day, but we're going home, for Christmas, and we're going to be gone for like 10 days. So it's like, if I got the tree, it would sit here unused for a majority of time. Maybe the thing to do is to wait for Christmas, the day after Christmas, and just pick one off the street that everyone is discarding, because, we can still have the essence and the smell of it, but, not spend any money on it.
Yeah, I know. I like that strategy. Something about leaving a Christmas tree behind while you go on a trip feels like it has the makings of like a very sad children's book or something. Like it's the tree that was home alone or something. Do you know what I'm getting at?
And then the tree starts setting booby traps.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. What I hate about Christmas is whenever I try to rob a house.
Yeah, there's always this damn little kid that's trying to brick my face.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you go, your turn.
Uh, well, it's I'm trying not to stray too much into like what's like maybe overly obvious just about the season in general,
Yeah, that's winter.
again, like the travel stuff for
Mhm.
sure. I feel like just, broad brush, go past that stuff. Um, let's see. So we've covered food. We've talked a little bit about the music, the Christmas trees,
Mhm. Trite
private
conversations.
conversations. Um, I think that there has been what I'll call like a hipsterization of Christmas over the past maybe 10, 20 years, where, and that's kind of expanded into the wider culture. Like the sweater thing, the corny sweater thing is
Yeah.
definitely a part of that, where I think that at some point, there was the sincere and unself-aware use of the corny Christmas sweater. And then there was sort of the hipsterization of that, where people recognized that it was a thing. And so they intentionally sought out and even made corny sweaters that they would then wear at Christmas. But then that itself then seeped into sort of just pop culture. And it's now actually just become a cliche to, in fact, indulge in this sort of like ironic Christmas having.
Yeah,
And that's a little bit annoying.
I agree.
It's like it's no
Yeah.
longer interesting to be ironic about Christmas. It's maybe more interesting to be super sincere about Christmas.
I I love sweaters. Like I think
Sure.
sweaters are great. They're warm, they're cozy,
Right.
usually they're nice looking, you can wear them in all different sorts of environments,
Right.
except desert, I think. But
Well,
you raise a good point because and maybe this falls into if we ever do like a miscellaneous quibbles thing where it's like only talking about the things that really bother me in general, which I have many. The idea of the ugly Christmas sweater party
yeah.
is just really grinds my gears because it's very similar to the idea of like um adding the dress up layer to any sort of function. I just can't, it makes me not want to go to the function. It's
Okay.
like going, uh, it's like, oh, we're gonna go see Star Wars, but everyone's got to dress up like
Okay.
one of the characters.
Right.
Like
What do you think about Halloween?
Halloween's fine. I don't partake because I don't think that I've ever really been all that good at Halloween. Like I don't really get into the concept of like getting all the stuff and making a costume that looks really good. Like I will do it sometimes if I feel some kind of inspired to it, but I think I'm too lazy
Mhm.
for it. And I think I'm way too self-conscious for it. Like I don't like having that kind of attention on me in general. So if to make a costume, I don't either like the, wow, that's so great, look at how good it is, or you didn't really try all that hard. It's like you could have done
Mm.
better. I don't want either one of those bits of attention.
Yeah.
So going to that kind of costume party is almost never for me. The only kind of dressing up I'm okay with is like formal function. It's like you're going to the opera. Fine, I'll put on a sport coat or whatever. Like I'll look nice because it's the opera, but I'm not going to. I'm never going to get into the idea of needlessly dressing up for some function that does not actually require it. And
Yeah.
I'm not in office culture, thankfully, but I feel like if I was, I would never go to the ugly sweater parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
And
just
I,
don't like that being imposed on you.
yeah, well, exactly. And the other thing that I really don't like is how seriously everybody else takes it.
Sure.
Like I have shown up to things where it's like, you can't force me to do this. And it's like, if you are telling me you are uninviting me to the thing because I'm not going to do it, then you need to have the confrontation of that and uninvite me.
Yeah.
But what I don't like is if I don't do it and I show up to a thing, it's like, oh, you're no fun. It's
Mm,
like, no, this isn't fun. I
mm.
don't think this is fun. I just don't go. I just don't go.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, well,
I, I, eat the, I eat the loss. It's fine. I get it. I'm probably missing out on great times, a lot of laughs, a lot of drinks, a
yeah.
lot of having good stories and good time with your friends. I get it. I'm missing out. It's
Yeah.
fine.
If
Yeah.
they say jump, you're not going to say how high.
Not for that.
Not for that.
Not
Okay.
for that.
No, I think I respect that for sure. I mean, you're basically saying, yeah, you're okay with the loss. So I feel like it's,
Yes.
yeah,
Which is where it should end is like,
right.
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's clearly a triggering thing for me. I'm getting all worked up over here about Christmas sweaters. You shouldn't have brought it up, Matt. God damn it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do we think about the other, the decorations, the festivities and so forth? I mean, I think that green and red clearly clash. There's a reason that that's the only time of the year that we would ever allow those two colors to be in sight of each other. But I'm not really going to fault it too much for that, I guess.
Unless you're McElhaney Tabasco.
True.
It's so funny. It just as randomly as here on this test.
You just invalidated my whole idea there. Thanks.
Well, you're talking about decorations. I mean, is your quibble green and red together? Like that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, they don't look great together. And in fact, there's no, well, maybe the quibble is more of a meta thing. It's more that there's no way other than a hot sauce bottle to combine that bright red and bright green without it immediately having a sort of Christmas inflection to it.
Cherries?
I mean, in like packaging or design.
Oh, in a decorative sense, so not in nature.
Yeah, it's like Christmas has completely. I don't know what the word is.
Throw mangoes at you, apples.
Yeah.
Basically, any red fruit that grows on a tree.
Yeah.
I think I don't know that I necessarily have quibbles with decorations.
Okay.
Maybe the thing is I don't like the very serious nature that tends to come out of people about the thing.
Okay.
It's almost like, have you ever noticed, maybe this is a little too revealing here, but it's like, I've noticed that on the more special the occasion is, the more likely it is you're going to have a fight with your spouse.
Okay.
Like that's how it kind of feels because people have expectations, needs, wants, and if those
sometimes values, like moral values associated
all of those things. So it just is a very sharp knife to create a wound. And I think maybe I don't have a problem with the decorations per se, but it's kind of like there's like a Fresh Prince episode about this where they get a nice tree and Hillary wants to decorate it one way and Carlton wants to decorate it another way.
Yeah.
And they like fight with each other about like how the tree should look. And eventually they're like, well, how about you get half and I get half? And they're both very different and they're both very nice. And that's how they solve the issue.
Right.
But I think that that's like a real thing when it comes to decorating or the general experience of something that means a lot to people.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the quibble with Christmas, is that like,
holidays like Christmas can turn like very, just sort of casual people into really uptight bridezillas, although whatever the Christmas version of the word bridezilla is, but that's not meant to be females in particular, but just with the first word that came in.
No, just peoplezillas, I guess.
Peoplezillas,
because you, especially if you didn't, well, I don't know if especially, because I think it's a pretty common thing that you fight with your family over the holidays. Like we don't really experience that in our family because we all kind of get along, but it is a trope. It's like, oh, going home for the holidays, gonna see my family. I don't really feel that way, but it does. If you're with somebody that you didn't grow up with, you both have different ways it was done, and you each want to be able to hit the nostalgia dopamine in a way that if what you're doing is denying it from the other person, it's almost like stealing somebody's fix, or like, it's like,
it's like, this is the one time a year that this is this thing that I do every year and I really, really want to do it. And sometimes it's sort of, you reach an impasse, like it's just, there's two mutually exclusive ideas about, how you should behave around the holiday. And I think Christmas brings that out for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like there are things we could talk about and then see if there are quibbles within it that like kind of exist around the concept of Christmas.
Sure.
So presents.
Okay. Yeah.
Presents. Do you have quibbles on presents?
Well, I when I was a young lad, for several Christmases in a row, that my number one requested gift from Santa Claus was a
grappling hook,
a boomerang.
Boomerang, boomerang.
And I think for something like 3 years in a row, I asked for a boomerang, and the reason that I had to ask for it 3 years in a row wasn't because I didn't get it, It was because like I got it and was so excited about it that I immediately unpacked it and went, over to the field to, throw it around, and it either broke or like got lost. So I just, I think I've only really had a few hours of tops of boomerang time in my entire life, despite having received one 3 years in a row as a
I
child
remember,
for
yeah.
Christmas.
Do you know what it was that like made you want a boomerang so bad? Like, would you have like
I
any
think it was just
inkling
the
of
general idea that they are really
yeah, but
cool.
what did you see? What did you see or
I had
read?
to have seen
Or
something. I don't,
yeah,
but I don't think it just came out of the void. I think that I must have seen or heard of something and been like, oh my God,
boomerang.
I want to, it probably a cartoon or something. Cause they're
Yeah,
like,
see, this is why you like Avatar: The Last Airbender so much.
right. Cause it always comes back except for that one time.
Yeah. Um, that's so funny. Well, I know what somebody's getting this year. I'm gonna go into Manhattan
Yeah.
and I lost it again. Um, yeah, I guess there's no real. So your quibble is that you are your own villain with your presence.
My presence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really, I don't know. I fancy myself a pretty good gift giver. Like I think it's something I've inherited from our mother. Like she really knows how to give a gift
Mhm.
because she really pays attention to people and what they are interested in and want, and somehow is able to always decipher the thing they don't have, but didn't know they needed or wanted, And I'm not saying that I am anywhere on that level, but I feel like I do a decent job of like drilling down on that thing. And it's just rare uh, that I have the money. It's like I kind of want to get gifts for
Yeah.
people, but it's like is only so much disposable in which you can make that happen. And it's always like the dreams are always much more out of the reach, than
Well,
reality.
I sometimes wonder whether or not I'm not going to say regifting exactly, but giving somebody one of your existing possessions uh, is actually a worthy way to think about the holiday, even though it's kind of considered to be cheap or
It's like
something.
faux
Um,
pas almost, yeah.
yeah, but I don't think it should be thought of that way. Maybe this is an interesting quibble. Like if, for example, say I have a book that I really, really prize, but I give it to you because I really think you would appreciate this book. It's actually a really special gesture of me to give you like my copy of this book that I've read a bunch of times that I really like, and I want to share it with you, versus just like, okay, here's an Amazon gift card, or like here's another copy of this book. So maybe like maybe I haven't thought this completely through, so I'm not like going to hard commit to it right now, but maybe a slight quibble is I feel like we could maybe normalize the idea in our society of giving things that we already own to people for Christmas, rather than just spending money and putting it into this crazy
I love it.
commercial machine that exists around the holiday.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. Because it's twofold. It's one, it's forcing a level of thought,
Mm-hmm.
around the people that you would want to do that for. It's parting with something that means a lot to you,
Yeah.
and it's also the cyclical or the recyclical, is that a word, like for recycling, cyclical recycling?
I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down for sure.
You know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a word, or not. It's not. That's like a positive thing because of the consumerism, and it's like Amazon would be impacted by that, which would be a good thing.
Right.
Just in general, that would be great. Yeah, that's lovely, Matt. See, that's what the holidays are all about. I think you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
really tied it all together.
Kvetching about a lot of things until they kind of finally come up with something that has some heart to it.
Right. I think inevitably there would be some hurt feelings amongst that. But what holiday season doesn't come with some hurt feelings, It's like if you and I exchanged gifts and it was like, you give me, like this piece of art that's hanging in your apartment or something, or you give me Edgar, like you love Edgar, you want to give me Edgar so I can enjoy how awesome Edgar is. But then I
That's my
give you,
cat for our viewers who don't know.
yeah, Edgar the cat. But then I give you like my belt or
Yeah.
something. It's like, no, you needed this, and it's done me good. Here you go. It's my
Well, yeah,
belt.
I mean, yeah, there's yeah, it could easily stray into the territory of like you're just like unloading shit that you don't actually want anymore. So in order for this sort of like type of gift giving to work, there has to be an assumption that you are going to part with something that you actually do still want. Yeah.
There's a game that our family plays, and I don't know that because of COVID, like I haven't spent too much holiday time with the family in the last couple of years because either not going home or not doing big functions, you know.
Yeah.
There's a game that our family plays called Rob Your Neighbor. That's actually pretty fun. It's the concept that everyone brings kind of like, it's not really a mystery gift necessarily in our family. It's just something weird and wacky that
Yeah.
uh,
Some
you
kind of
don't
trinket that's kind of interesting.
the game is meant to be, I think, more of a mystery where there are, if you have 8 people, there are 8 gifts, and everyone, like one by one, somebody goes to the pile, and then the next person who gets it gets to decide if they're going to steal the gift that that person got or grab a new box. And the whole point is that by the time you get to the end, you end up probably with not what you expected, and then you open it up and you see what it is. In our family, the way it works is you bring something bizarre that you have. So it's kind of what you're talking about. And then, you know, it's like, it's usually very useless or funny or something like that. And for the first several years, it went very well. And it was like, oh, this is a really fun, like hilarious thing where it's like, oh, I got the toilet paper roll that sings you Merry Christmas when you pull out the toilet paper, or something like that. But it did eventually devolve in our family to something where people were just kind of bringing like that thing that they no longer really wanted or needed, and it's like, I guess I'll put this in the pile, and it kind of like fizzled out as like a concept, I feel like, because it was like, well, this is no longer just like funny, it's just now I've got this, coffee mug that says world's greatest aunt or something, it's like, that's, who knows what it is, but it's not terribly dissimilar to your idea, but with meaning, if you add meaning to it.
Yeah, you have to. I think it's one of those things where it's like playing those party games that don't, that where there's no real way to prevent somebody from cheating. You explicitly have to play it with people who you just trust not to cheat. And so I think this theoretical type of gift giving, you just have to, it has to be with people who you trust to do the right thing.
Right. Yeah, speaking of which, I'm going to give you my copy of Do the Right Thing. It's a great.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to it.
All right. So,
Blu-ray, I hope.
Huh? Oh yeah,
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray, sure. I would, come on, it means a lot to me. High def. How about, okay, Santa and his elves?
Wow, Santa and his elves. I don't know that I have any great quibbles on that in particular.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing did come to mind, which is that I'm not a big fan of dragging Christmas out past the holiday. I think like if I had my way, all the lights and decorations would come down on like 12:01 a.m.
You want people going out
on like December 26th,
middle of the night,
12:01 a.m.
icy roof, pull the ladder out.
You're taking those lights down. And we are now past Christmas. But you get, instead, the lights tend to remain up for weeks, if not months afterward. It's like literally, April, and people are finally taking them down.
Right. It's a mix of grasping at straws, like trying to hold on to a feeling, and laziness. It's like a bad cocktail of those things. And there's always one person, like I don't live in suburbia anymore, so it's like I don't really see it as often, but it exists, where there's always one house that takes it way more serious than any other house.
For sure.
And it's sort of like an event, because it's like either people from outside the neighborhood are drawn to it because, oh, we better go see what that house is doing this year, because they have to top themselves,
right?
Or you just exist with it, and that like you'll drive by it every day, or you're going to see it. But I think it's become a bit of a competition, to either have things that are like fully DMX'd and flashing, and you've got songs that it plays to, and it's like, whatever Christmas tune. And I think there's like, people even monetize it. It's like, drive to the house, turn the radio to this station, and then watch the display for 3 minutes. Like that's a thing. And I don't, I guess I admire the engineering of it, but I also, like, I almost want there to be a movie about it, where like for the first half of the movie, it's the guy getting really excited, doing his house all exciting. But then like on the flip side of it, there's just this baggy-eyed neighbor who can't sleep because the lights don't stop flashing. And then
it all turns into like a falling down type of movie, maybe, or it just goes on a rant.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a Christmas murder happens because this guy and his, it's like and really it just needs to be one time of just like him going and ringing the doorbell and just being like, please turn your lights off. And then of course they don't. Yeah.
It kind of sounded a little bit Michael Douglas to me, by the way, but
oh yeah, hey,
that
thank
voice you just did kind of had that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough timbre to match.
Yeah.
Such a angelic voice.
Okay, so we've talked about music a bit, talked about food, decorations, the socialization aspect of it. We've Santa present.
Well, we skirted
Christmas
Santa.
trees. Oh yeah, true. We did skirt Santa. Well,
Santa's
you have a Santa related.
Well, Santa's a G. I don't know. We can't really. Who doesn't love Santa?
I know.
Who's got a quibble with Santa? I guess if I were to have any quibble about Santa, it's more of a social thing where, like, I think Santa is whatever you think Santa is. Like, he could be skinny, he could be fat, he could be old, he could be young, he could be black, he could be white, he could be whatever. I don't care what
male
he
or
is.
female.
Male or female,
Yeah.
he could be any of those things. So I guess my pain or the quibble here is just whatever moron out there is getting offended by the fact that somebody has like one of those plastic Jesus faces, or not Jesus, but plastic Santa faces on the door, and it's black, and you're like, oh my God, I can't
lighten up.
deal with that.
Like,
lighten up. Exactly. So if anything, the quibble is just that Santa, we love him so much that, some people love him too much and can't see him any other way. Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, what I'm sensing from you is that you have like one big meta quibble, and that's that like generally people get like way too uptight about a lot of the trappings of Christmas, and that like kind of just like dampens your enjoyment of it. Because that was like that was the thread I'm seeing running through all of your quibbles, from like the party to the things people talk about to like the rituals you have to do, like the costumes, to the people getting mad about Santa being black, like that's
What this reveals, very unfortunately, in a strong way, is my distaste of people in general. Man, I have few friends, and I like them. I like them a lot, and then everyone else is just kind of annoying.
Well, it does make good fodder for a future Minor Quibbles episode where we just talk about people. Just
oh man, I got so many quibbles.
It's going to be
so
a marathon.
Yeah, that would be rough. I'll try to go on a light note here. I love the warm cackling fire, the hot chocolate or coffee.
Yeah. The nog. Yeah, I mentioned the nog.
The nog, the wine. Like, I just love there are the aesthetics of being in Christmas time that I think are just the absolute best. Like, there's no time of year that feels better than to just be existing.
Yeah,
because it's
just like sitting in a chair, listening to the music.
It's collectively the only moment in our American capitalist society where we've agreed that it's okay to stop. And that's it. It's like, so close the stores, go home, sleep, rest, have something sweet for breakfast. Like, don't exercise, like, drink the coffee, sit by the fire, lounge, warm, cozy, watch a movie, like everything about, like, sit in your pajamas all day long. Who cares? It's Christmas. Like, I love that. Obviously, that's the best thing of the whole John.
I don't know. I think that's a great way to sum it up. I mean, obviously this has been 40 minutes of complaining about Christmas, but I love the holiday actually overall. And these quibbles are minor in comparison to the actual enjoyment of it. I feel like we just have to say that. Here as
the equivalent here is like that video where it's like 1 meter, 10 meters, 100 meters, where they show you the scope of the universe, and it starts on like
the powers of 10.
Powers of 10, basically. So it's like we're on the power of like the 1 meter, and then how, like, those are the quibbles, and then how much we actually enjoy said holidays for what they actually are powers of 10 outside of that. So
for sure
perspective. Well,
so what's in keeping with our typical way of reviewing and giving our final verdict, what is celebrate Christmas. No,
if you do, celebrate.
Honestly, I'm gonna say that actually, even if you don't, for religious reasons, I still think you should celebrate Christmas. Like, even if you don't attach any religious, historical, spiritual significance to it, just do the Christmas things. Have a tree, have a fire in the fireplace if you can, give a present, make some cookies or buy some cookies, have some eggnog, sit in your pajamas all day and just like enjoy being, there. It's great. Christmas is awesome for that reason.
Yeah,
Everybody should celebrate it.
I would reduce it even further from that, because you don't necessarily even have to enjoy the specific trappings of Christmas. Like,
Mhm.
you don't want a tree, don't get a tree. That's fine. It's just take the time to stop, breathe,
Right.
exist, and be, a human being that doesn't have any stress at all.
Do get a tree or something like that though. Come on.
Sure.
Have something, have a wreath, at least a wreath.
Yeah, I mean, it's you could get into a world of like, how damaging that is to the environment. I'm sure there are some people out there that don't want to celebrate in that way. I guess it's
right. What I mean is more, I think there needs to be some aesthetic element for it to be Christmas. Otherwise, you may as well just be meditating, or just like, having a lazy
Sure.
day. So you got to have, there has to be something. There has to be that red and green ribbon or some mistletoe somewhere. And maybe you put jingle bells on, but you hit a few of the notes and have yourself a wonderful Christmas.
It's you don't have to bake the cookies. Just bake some cinnamon and nutmeg in the oven so you get the smell of cinnamon.
Just sprinkle it about your living space.
Yeah,
you're good.
It's just have something that smells kind of like the holiday, tastes like the holiday. A fire, I think a fire, like a good fire, build it at the very least, have a fire, sit next to it with a hot drink, and have a cat on your lap or something.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're allergic. I can't make Christmas something.
You can't prescribe too many things because there's lots of reasons. But I think the point stands though. This should be a holiday for everyone to celebrate.
In some way. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and we'll see you for the New Year's Eve episode, maybe, question mark.
Might be dropping soon.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.